Welcome to the Heather Penny Podcast, where our goal is to help you reach your potential by increasing clarity, building confidence, and engaging courage. Dr. Heather Penny is a leadership coach, trusted advisor, and admired author. I'm Christina Morales, a writer and marketer, and Heather is my dear friend and my coach. The theme for May is the power of friendship, and today we're focusing on the pains of friendship. And Heather, there is so much that can be included in this topic.
We have to.
Yeah, because nobody else is,
Yeah,
So,
you're right. I guess we gotta.
Yeah, I love the topics that we're choosing because I haven't seen anyone else talk about what we're talking about, and it's so vital to everyday health. So, yeah we do. Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of joke that way too, Christina, because it is a huge part of all my conversations. It usually turns around to some kind of social relationship that they're struggling with that's blocking them from moving forward in so many ways. So yes, you're right. We do have to talk about it.
Yeah, and I think no one's talking about it because it is hard. It is personal. We do have to dig deep and look at, is it us? Is it them? Why are we funky? So
yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. Start us out then.
There you go. The first one that comes to my mind, since we're saying pains, is growing pains. And in my life, like, friendships are compartmentalized by the seasons of my life. I had high school friends, then college friends, friends from a certain workplace, or when I went to a certain church. And then these seasons ended and my friendships with these people ended. And I know it's normal for friendships to ebb and flow in life, but it seems like, okay, this is what I call it, toilet paper people, because they use you and then they flush you and then they move on. And so there's certain times when, like, you're in growing pains and people use you for what they need you in that season. And then we all move on and life changes and then you don't hear from people anymore. So why do we have a hard time holding on to that link in that friendship? Or is it just what I'm experiencing?
Yeah. The calling them toilet paper kind of is indicative that there might be some pain there, Christina. So we'll talk a little bit about that, my friend.
Oh, Lord, we already went there. We just started and we went there.
Well, and I resonate with that. I think the initial shock of realizing someone isn't going to be in your life forever is painful and hard. And I really want to respect that because I've definitely felt that as well. I think as we get on the other side of that is learning how to say, how do we release people to come into our life for a season and honor that season and be so grateful for that season while they're there and then recognize when that season is over. Oh my goodness, if we could all get better at that. And it doesn't mean that we can't be loyal and faithful and committed. Please hear me on that. I think one of my truest core values is loyalty. But if we're feeling like we have to kind of make a blood pact with everybody we interact with, we're not giving ourselves the space to grow and that other person to grow. And I think one of the things that I have learned as I have aged is savor the moment they're here. Because they may be here for one more day. They may be here for 20 more years. I don't ever know. It has helped me really own that beautiful value of space of just saying they're here for a season. How do I get to respect and honor this season and just enjoy it for as much as it is, and honor with the fact when we have to say goodbye, anything from death to actually changing of seasons of life. I know when I had kids, my world shrunk. With each kid I had, my friends shrunk and shrunk. Not because I didn't love them any less. It was, I could not keep up with the group that I had. And I waited 10 years. So I had a big, robust group of friends on all sorts of levels and in all sorts of areas. With each kid and with my career growing and everything on my plate growing, that friendship circle had to get more selective. It had to get smaller. And some I did really well stepping away from, some I was epic fail. I just couldn't figure out how to navigate that. And I think it all comes in this space of grace. I think I did a series on grace space and how we use that in our leadership worlds, but being able to offer gray spaces in our friendship worlds, and I find as I'm moving into the second half of my life here, I now have this gratitude and this appreciation for. I look at someone and I go, are you going to be in my life for the next 20 years or the next 2 months? I don't know, but I am going to stay curious and release where we all need to move forward in our life. And I just start seeing each of us as sojourners. We all got our little backpacks on and we're on some kind of path that we're trying to move forward in. Some of us are trying to summit. Some of us need to camp by the side of the road. Some of us need to meander through a meadow. Some of us are hiking up a cliff. I mean, we're all in different spaces. And then where we meet them in their journey and where they meet us in their journey really determines the richness of that friendship. So does that help?
Yeah, it's true. Like when you're at a job, you see each other every single day. And then if somebody transitions to a different workplace, then of course that's going to weaken the friendship because you don't see them every single day. And you've also talked about how we have different circles of friendship. And so it depends on what circle they're in, which, is dependent on their longevity.
You're so right. And I think once we let ourselves live at that higher plane of just gratitude for when we cross paths with fellow sojourners, it just gives everybody this freedom. It's, of course, some people are less comfortable than others. But once I started learning how to kind of lead with that in all my relationships, they just got richer and better. And they're still getting richer and better. Now I look at someone and I just go, oh, this is so awesome that I'm here with you in this space. I may never be in this space again. How do I soak it up? And then how do I say goodbye well? How do I give myself the permission to go do great things and not stay and take care of people that I'm not supposed to be taking care of? These are all questions I've learned to start asking more as I age, to show honor to the relationships that are in front of me and to release the ones that are just supposed to be passing by. And then to know the ones I'm supposed to really stay 100% committed to. I mean, I only said vows to one person. It's to my husband. And in a way, I kind of said vows to my children, but it's different. I really am supposed to be launching them and sending them off and waving to them as they take their journey. So we have so many levels of loyalty and commitment to people in our world. Just because we only have 2 hours with someone and we're able to look at them doesn't mean we're any less committed. So, because I work with people on an hour basis, some of them I go, I may never talk to them again. What a privilege, what an honor that I got to cross paths with them. They may circle around 5 years later, 10 years later. And it's such a rich way for me to live, to be able to kind of honor that space of this freedom that people are going to come in and out of my lives. And some are harder to say goodbye to than others. And some I get to have in my life for the long term, and I get to really nurture that commitment. So it's just a much more freeing way to live, I would say.
And I would love for you to think about the person in your life who has been your friend the longest, husband excluded. What has made this friendship last the distance?
Well, I'm thinking of two in particular. I think we're going on 20 plus years of friendship. And the three of us have stayed very tight throughout the years. We've moved all over the world, and we see each other less and less physically, just because of our worlds and having kids and careers. But we're on this text thread all the time. And we used to have phone calls before kids. That got too hard. So we're moved over to text. Then one of them moved out of the country and we couldn't have phone service. So we moved over to WhatsApp. Then we don't even have time to text. Right now we're in the stage, we don't even have time to text. So we leave these one-sided conversations a lot. And we have these little voicemails that we listen to once to each other, and we'll joke, the one time I looked down at my voicemail and I thought, have I been talking to you for 20 minutes straight? I'm so sorry. And it's cute, Other times I'll give them a zippy message of just this 2 minutes of everything that's going on in my life. But I think we've given each other this grace to let each other adapt and change and grow. And I just had my birthday last month, and one of them is super good at remembering my birthday and one of them is not. And we know this about each other. So
Mm-hmm.
we're able to kind of laugh about it and yet still honor this one that is so good at dates and remembering things. And I think she's the glue sometimes that holds together. Boy, when her birthday rolls around, I don't want to forget it. And we kind of honored each other's language of love. This other one, I listen to her and I go, oh man, if I forget her birthday, we're going to be okay. And it doesn't mean that there's this pressure to do it one way or the other. It's just kind of learning how to love each other. What is it that we're looking for from each other? We went through a season where we just wrote letters back and forth. It was such a slowing down of our conversation. So I kind of look back over the last 20 plus years that we've been friends. And I think it was this ability to adapt and change and grow, have some difficult conversations. But I think one of the things to keep in mind is friendships should not be hard. They should be one with ease and grace and love. And if you are repeatedly working at difficult conversations over and over and over, I want to say it might be a time to evaluate if you all are really good for each other. And I think as I gave myself that permission to have ease, to be accepted for who I am, I am not the type of person that loves talking on the phone every day to my bestie. I just want to know she's there when I need her. And I want her to know that I'm there when she needs me. And I want her to feel honest enough to be able to tell me if I've hurt her. But I don't want our conversations to be this constant conversation of how much I've hurt her. And I've gotten stuck in all of those different styles of relationships and realizing I can do better at telling people who I am. So I started just leading out front saying, hey, this is the type of friend I am. I am the type that you may not see me for 10 years, but you better believe that you can just pick up with me where I left off. I'm not going to sit there and hold a grudge and say, why haven't you called me? And I want the same courtesy to me. I'm also the type that I am very loyal. I will be cheering you on from a distance. I don't do well with jealousy in friendships. It just doesn't work for me. And I think as I started really leading out with what I offer and what I'm good at, and really give a context for why I communicate the way I do, man, things started going so much smoother. And I'll own the fact that I don't think I wanted to own that. I wanted to keep tap dancing and say, what kind of friend do you want me to be? And how can I prove myself that I'm going to be your bestie? I didn't do that well in my earlier years. Once I started kind of loving myself and understanding who I was as a person and my best to offer in friendship and what I wasn't going to be good at, it just allowed me to say that out loud and give people a realistic expectation of what it would look like to be a friend.
That's helped me so much. You've said this before, of when you know who you are, you don't have to tap dance. And that's empowered me immensely. So I thank you for that. And you mentioned jealousy, and I think that's a common pain that we see. And I have one friend who's married to like the leading cardiac surgeon in the Bay Area. Her house is gorgeous. She has nannies. She has time to work out and eat organic. But she's so sweet and I love her and she's down to earth. I don't have time to be jealous of her. But then there's another friend who is also well-to-do and I can't stand her. So clearly jealousy is deeper than what somebody has and we don't have. So how do you interpret jealousy in friendship? How do we address if there is jealousy?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that is something I've worked through myself personally and worked with in friendships. One of the things I like to start with is jealousy is trying to tell you something. So our biggest temptation is to get stuck in the envy and the green-eyed monster stage and just say, I'm jealous of that person. And you just stay committed to that jealousy. What I like to tell people is jealousy is very normal. Envy is very normal. What is it trying to tell you? And I think it reminds me of an example probably about 15 plus years ago when I was honest. I was on a hike with my husband and man, I all of a sudden felt the green-eyed monster coming up with me about this author who was just exploding in his work. He was becoming so successful. And I was looking at him like, these words came out of my mouth. Why does he get to do what he's doing? and I could hear the green-eyed monster, and I was mortified, and I was like, okay, no shame. What am I jealous about?
Uh-huh.
And I realized, okay, he's living a life that I want to live.
Hmm.
Now I'm going to go do something about it. I'm
Wow.
going to own this. Now it helps me honor his life, cheer him on, thank him for paving a road in front of me, and go get my life. And so I think the jealousy can really speak to us of a deep longing that's trying to rise up.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to tell people, honor what that longing is, because the envy and the jealousy is wanting more. I even I've heard other women talk about this too, about homes and kind of financial, anything from financial responsibility to financial kind of quality of life. And I've looked at them and I've just said, you get to go get it. If you want that home, you get to go get it. And sometimes they'll put the pressure on their spouse or the person that they're living with. And I think that there's this unfair expectation to say, if you feel like a big, beautiful home is important to you, you get to start exploring that instead of just keep being jealous of someone else. You get to start exploring, is there something here? I started recognizing the value that I have in hosting people. I didn't want a big, beautiful home just to show everybody, look, I got a big, beautiful home. Ha ha, I've arrived.
Right.
I began to really explore the depths of my longing and realizing I don't need a massive home, but I do want a home that is comfortable and I can invite large groups in. And I get to own that, and I get to look for ways that is going to open up for me.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, we found a home with this beautiful sunroom that can seat I think 30 people or so.
Wow.
I can't tell you how much we've used it for conferences. I've had the kids' teams over, his baseball team, her dance team, everything from my family space to my workspace. That room is just this sacred place where I've been able to host so many people. And even this weekend, I'm getting ready to host about 18 amazing people. This is just friendships and social that we just wanted to throw a party.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that once you understand what's underneath that jealousy, it allows you to get to know yourself a little bit better. And I would say, don't get stuck in the jealousy. Stay curious of what longing that's kind of pulling on for you and start doing something about it.
Well, Heather, here's our honesty moment. I'm jealous of your pool. So your next book is going to be Step Into Your Big Beautiful Pool.
So you just go ahead and take a picture snapshot of my pool, and you go give it to your pool man and say, I want this.
That's right. See, I'm going to step into my big beautiful pool.
There you go.
So as I was Googling pains in friendship, just to see what other problems that people are facing, a common one that came up was the friend who dominates the conversation. And I'm like, oh yeah, we all have that. There's a line in the movie Beaches that I love. And Bette Midler says, now enough about me, let's talk about you. What do you think of me? And whenever I meet somebody like that, that line always pops into my head.
I love that movie, by the way.
Oh, me too. I love it. And it's about friendship. So, I mean, it's perfect.
I'm going to go watch that. Thanks for reminding me of that.
It's a great movie. So how do we confront a person that we like and we want to be friends with, but they dominate the conversation, or it's always about them, or they always have some drama in their life? What kind of friendship should we have with that person?
Well, do you want to have a friendship with that person? That's my first question. You don't have to be friends with everyone. I think this is the kindergarten myth, right? I think we were told somewhere in kindergarten, you got to play with everybody. I didn't raise my kids that way. I go, you don't have to be friends with everybody. You get to go be selective and choose your core group. And then you definitely need to respect every person, humanity, but you don't have to be friends with everybody. So that's my first question. I'm like, are you sure you want to be friends with this person? I mean, I would listen to that person. It would only take one conversation. I'd smile and nod and say, yeah, this is my last conversation I'll be having with this person. I'm not interested in trying to change them. I'm not interested in trying to keep listening to them, nor am I interested in trying to convince them that they need to have a better way. That would be hooking me into something that I'm not interested in being a part of.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you say that, because what you said about kindergarten is exactly right. We feel like we have to be friends with everybody and be nice. And then do we even have to work through these issues with someone we just met that isn't in our inner circle? Is it worth the time, energy, drama? No,
Mhm.
it's not. So it's okay. We can bless and release you.
It's
So,
exactly right. Yeah. And I don't even sit in those conversations anymore. You know,
mhm.
if I see where it's heading, I figure out a way to wrap it up and just start saying, "Yep, I think I'm done here. You're not interested in listening to me." I mean, I've stood up and walked out
Mhm.
because they're not interested in hearing me. So
Yeah.
it becomes then a controlling thing and a power thing. And I'm not interested in playing a power move. I'm
Yeah.
interested in having a mutually fulfilling conversation and relationship where it feels give and take.
Mhm. Well, you've answered my next question, because I was going to say unpredictable friends too, where some days they're fine, other days it's drama. It's just a roller coaster ride. And so that person too, we can just say, thanks for the conversation and bye-bye.
Right. Yeah. I think there's things that I got in touch with that I really value.
Mhm.
Predictability is important to me. I just
Yeah.
need to be able to know where you're at in your mood. And doesn't mean that you can't get messy about things, but I never want it to be put on me or me blamed for something that's going on in your life.
Hmm.
Um, I think just honesty. Once you have some of these, and loyalty, these are some key core values that honestly I call my non-negotiables.
Hmm.
Once those kind of get crossed, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you to sit there and keep trying
Yeah.
to work it out. What, the world is way too big. My life is way too full. I get to go step into my big, beautiful world and bless you and release you to work
Mhm.
out your stuff. But, you know, I get to step into my world that is moving in a trajectory that is where I want to be.
Mhm.
So friends are a choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people treat friends like they're an obligation. They're not your colleagues. They're not
Mhm.
your work people. They're not the people that you answer to. These are people that you're kind of obligated to work things out with. Friends are choices. If they're not fulfilling for you, you want to reevaluate what's going on. Either have the conversation or step back.
Mhm.
One of the things I've discovered too is when I've had the conversation and it doesn't seem to be helping.
Yeah.
I have to understand that. And I'm the type that will persevere and keep trying, keep trying, and keep trying. I have to recognize, you know, Heather, you've already had 3 to 5 difficult conversations. You're going to have to call this. You've tried everything you
Mhm.
can to find that middle ground, and it's just not working, which means it's not working for them either. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and I think sometimes we have this, it's the shadow side of our loyalty. We got to keep trying. We got to keep trying. We got to keep trying. And I go, no, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing them any favors. Someone has to at some point call it and say, hey, let's just step back a bit here because this isn't working for either of us. And I
Mhm.
think that's hard for people who are loyal. You know, for me, since I'm so loyal, I'll have the tendency to, in my history, I've overtried. And really what I've done is I've had either savior complex or I've suffocated the relationship, or I moved it to try to control it to keep it less uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think once I realized it takes two in every relationship to be committed to similar values, that's what friendship is. And sometimes friends come into our lives for a season and it's beautiful and rich. And sometimes our paths kind of diverge. One goes left, one goes right. And we try and hang on to each other, but we're not doing anyone any favors. So learn how
Mhm.
to let each other take our own paths. It's been a beautiful release for me because sometimes those paths circle back around years later. Sometimes they never do, but I get to wave at them from a distance and cheer them on.
Mhm. You've said that we don't owe them anything. That has been so helpful to me in the past year that we've been doing these podcasts. Is I feel like I owe people. I owe it's like going back to the kindergarten thing. We have to love everybody. We have to help everybody. And it's can be painful if it's not a healthy relationship. And then I realized I don't owe you anything if it harms me, if it causes turmoil in my family, because if I'm a mess, I'm not the best wife or mom or even
Yeah.
employee that I can be because I'm stuck in my head dealing with these issues. It's okay to say, I don't owe you anything and I can move forward. Let's bring peace. And I've never had that permission to release somebody. and to say, I don't owe you anything. So that's been
Mhm.
invaluable to me and my health.
Oh, good. Yeah. And that's, I think, can be challenging. Sometimes friendships can start out really powerful and beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the way, something kind of gets triggered.
Mm-hmm.
And it's happened with me personally, where I've wanted to clutch on to a friend, and it's happened where I've been the recipient of what they're trying to clutch on to me.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes it painful. I may be clutching out of a time of vulnerability and fear, and I really want them, and I want them to be a certain place for me. No, I need to turn toward me and take
Mm-hmm.
care of me and do self-care. So I think that's really the ultimate challenge right there, is that when we start over clutching on to one another, it's usually indicative of a deeper pain that we need to face and take care of and really love ourselves through it.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to make a friend take care of an area that is yours to take care of, that's where it gets sideways.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about true beliefs, and when we know who we really are, then we don't need others' approval. So if we are rejected, it's not a strike against who we are, because we already know who we are. We can just say, okay, if you don't want to be my close friend, that's okay. I know I'm awesome. So I love that we don't have to take it so personally either.
Yeah, and it's still hard. I put myself out there and said, hey, I'd like to make a shift in this friendship. I'm realizing it's becoming way too conflictual, way too intense. And I was fully rejected. Like, nope, if you're not going to be the way I want you to be, then I don't want to be your friend at all. That has thrown me. I was like, I thought I could say and be who I wanted to be, and that you would accept me. So I'm not going to deny, lie to you that has been painful, but at the same hand, the truth really does set you free. So the pain was worth it. This is, if I didn't say that, what would I keep doing? I know me, I'd keep tap dancing. Okay, how do I keep you happy? How do I make you my friend? Well, that's what I was starting to do, until I started realizing this is starting to feel a little too much pressure. I'm feeling a lot of confusion and pressure. Those are flags to me that the friendship has kind of gotten off. They're putting more on me than I'm able to deliver. And out of my sense of loyalty, sometimes I ignore it because I go, oh, they're just my friend. They just love me. They're having a bad day. Or I make too many excuses. I think what I've wanted to avoid is being honest about, hey, this doesn't feel good, and risking them rejecting me. And I will say the worst case scenario happened, and I'm okay. So part of me goes, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you go through that worst case scenario that we spend a lot of our life avoiding, I almost feel like it's necessary to kind of say, oh, you put your heart out there and they said, nope, I don't want it. I want this other version of you. I want you to keep tap dancing, kind of, and of course they're not saying that literally. It's just they're grappling with their own pain or their own confusion or their own maybe feeling of rejection. But that's not for me to carry or for me to own. So I always tell people, if you're working too hard and there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of confusion, it's probably indicative of some deeper stuff. That's you're not helping them by keep trying to talk about it or stay in it. It's probably best to take a little beat and take a break and take a step back and just kind of see what happens.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Heather, I'm glad you're my friend.
I'm glad you let me be who I want to be. Thanks, Christina.
Yeah, you don't cause me pain. You bring me joy. So thank you. So join us next week when we talk about the power of friendship and meshed versus empowered. And boy, have I got some good questions for you on this one, Heather. So please subscribe to the Heather Penny podcast and leave us a great review on whatever platform you're listening from. And for questions, comments, and resources, visit the new and improved website, heatherpenny.com. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Remember to live your best life. You have to live intentionally. Have a great day, and we can't wait for you to join us next week. Thank you, Heather.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care, everyone.